You're listening to the Endless Party Radio Show with the Doc on Colossal Radio.
I want to welcome Kasim Sulton to the show. Kasim, how are you?
I'm good, Lane. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being on the radio with you. You're a legend.
I am. Well, that's what people tell me. I don't know. I think it's just because of my lifestyle. It hasn't killed me yet, so they want to know why I'm still living, I think. That's what it is. I think, I probably should be in some museum. I'm trying to get the town of Lehighton, where this radio station is from. I'm wondering if, at all possible, if they maybe, erect a bronze statue of me or something, but I don't think that'll ever happen.
Hey, listen, man, I'm good for 100 to donate to anything that they put in the center of town that has your likeness on it.
Yeah, that's it. You know what? It would probably be an ass with a baseball cap. That's what it would probably be. And that's okay too, man. I'm all right with that. Let's get underway here, man. Where did it all start? Where'd you come from, man?
Well, I cut my teeth with a guy from not too far from where you are right now with Todd Rundgren, who is a Philly guy. Mm-hmm. And that's who I started playing with in 1976 and still work with him today. But, I started in a band with a band called Utopia. It was Todd Rundgren's Utopia back then. And one of the first places that we played was in Harrisburg or one of those Pittsburgh area, something like that. Mm-hmm. But Todd's a Philly guy, and that's not too far from where I live right now. I'm in southern New York City, in Staten Island.
Oh, very cool. I like I said, with Kasim Sulton's Utopia, when Dave first, booked this, and we worked closely with the Mauch Chunk Opera House. Like I said, I just didn't put two and two together. Just didn't. And then when I did some research for this interview, which I still enter into an interview with no staged questions because I think that's just too staged. But, then I started piecing it all together. And Todd Rundgren, I mean, we know him, love him. We play some of his music here on the station, but it just didn't click. It didn't click until, you put the pieces together. So you go back a long way, and what can people? What's going on with the Winter 2020 tour? You just finished up in New York City. What's going on? What can we expect?
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. So the band that I was in for 10 years, which was Utopia, had a very, very loyal and dedicated following. Mm-hmm. We didn't break any attendance records. We weren't like a multi-platinum band, but we were very successful. And we provided the soundtrack to a lot of people's lives, or contributed to it. I don't want to be as pompous as to say we were the soundtrack. We contributed to the kind of music that people listened to when they were growing up, that they still listen to today, and it reminds them of where they were when they heard the song, what they were doing, whether it was in school or at a job or with a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. Mm-hmm. So people would come up to me all the time because the band kind of fizzled out around 1986. We stopped working together. It was a four-piece band. And then I continued my work with Todd and on his solo stuff. And people would constantly come up to me and say, are you guys ever getting back together again? Is Utopia ever going to do another record? Is Utopia ever going to perform live again? I got tired of saying maybe, mm-hmm. And I thought that, it would be a good idea to keep the music alive and play these songs that were so important to so many people, but my own version of it. And in 2018, I started doing some shows. It's become kind of like, me, and once a year I go out behind these records that were so important to so many people, and I just play the music from the records.
That's awesome. So that's in a nutshell. That's what we're looking at. I mean, for the Winter 2020 tour. So recognizable music that you're going to know from Kasim Sulton's career. As you mentioned with Todd Rundgren, who. How's he doing, by the way? I mean, since you have that close bond relationship, you still collaborate with him. How's things going on his end?
Well, no grass grows under his feet. He's always busy doing stuff. I think he has a record coming out in the next few months, a new record. He's doing a lot of collaborations with other artists these days. And we're on tour with Todd in May and June. And we always play in the Jim Thorpe area too. But I am really looking forward to the Mauch Chunk Opera House. I've heard so many good things about it, and I can't wait to be there on March 20th. It's going to be a really, really good show. The audiences, the people that come to see the show and know the music are just they're so excited about it, and they're very vocal, and they're on their feet the whole concert. It's really a really great evening.
The Opera House is a pretty cool place. I mean, and now you're talking. We're talking with Kasim Sulton, and an amazing guitar slinger, musician, and a hell of a band that they're bringing to the Mauch Chunk Opera House on the 20th of March. And I will tell you, you've played mega arenas. Let's face it, all around the country and world, you played mega arenas. This is it's certainly up close and personal, and the sound, the entire venue, our resort town of Jim Thorpe, not far from us here, is absolutely amazing. It's a great feeling when you're on stage that you get that vibe right away from the people there.
Yeah, we played in New York City last night. We do a venue in New York City called the Iridium. It's where Les Paul, the famous guitar player, he did a residency there for like 20 years. He played every Monday night with the Les Paul Trio. And I play there at least once or twice a year. And the audience, we sold out last night. It was a great show. And the audience was they were on their feet the whole night. And we had a wonderful, wonderful time. Just the night before that, actually, we played in Sellersville in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and so that's another great little theater, the Sellersville Theater. So we have we just started the tour. We're only 3 shows into a 16 city tour, and we're just having a great time. It's really just some good music. It's the music that, like I said, a lot of people grew up with this stuff, and I certainly did too.
Yeah.
So it's just a good feeling,
Yeah. Tell me about Clocks All Stopped.
Well, that comes from my solo record. That was the last solo record that I released a couple of years ago, and we did this song. I'm a songwriter, and that's I think I consider myself a songwriter before anything else. I always do my solo records are always usually just me playing every instrument. I'm okay on a lot of instruments, enough that I can make a record. This particular song, I really thought that it sounded like a Utopia song, sounded like a song that Utopia would have recorded had we still been together.
Right.
So I asked Todd Rundgren to play on it. I asked Roger Powell to play keyboards on it. Roger Powell was the keyboard player in Utopia, and it's just it's one of those really great songs that just lives on forever, and I'm just very, very proud of that. That's from my solo record 3, called 3.
Having you on the show, which is amazing, Kasim Sulton, not only with Utopia, Todd Rundgren, but toured with the likes of Richie Sambora and Meatloaf and Blue Oyster Cult and Patti Smythe. I mean, you had them. You were on board with all of them.
Yeah, I've been around the block a few times. I've done a lot of work with a lot of different artists. I'm very, very lucky that I get to work with so many diverse artists. I mean, I was playing with Joan Jett for about three and a half years. I was in the Blackhearts, and I went right from Joan Jett to Hall & Oates, and then I spent, another 2.5 years playing with Daryl and John. So, it's kind of opposite ends of the musical spectrum. And I'm very comfortable doing that kind of, like jumping here and there and just, keeping my feet firmly planted on the ground at the same time, my head's in the clouds.
Yeah, man. How about it? And who would have thought we'd go this far? How did it all start out, man? How did it all start out for Kasim Sulton?
Well, I was kicking around New York City in the early '70s. I was working in recording studios as a tape op and assistant engineer, and then I was also kind of honing my craft, just playing guitar. And I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan in '64, and I knew that that's what I was going to do. I saw that and I said, that's it. I'm done. Don't have to worry about school. Don't have to worry about getting a job. I am going to be a musician, and that's all there is to it. And I spent the rest of my life trying to do that. Still trying to do that, actually.
Yeah, right.
And that's how it all began. And I just I had a dream, and I went for it. And the stars aligned. I got some lucky breaks, and I had a little bit of talent to back it up. And you make a livelihood for yourself. You make a living.
It's interesting to know, and with the people that I've had on board with many shows over 3 decades now. Holy crap! Am I getting old? Holy Christ!
Yeah, you ain't both.
But so many of you people that are in the position that you are. And we've talked about this both on air and even off air, are very humble. Yet you have some that, and this is in all walks of life, where some people are always better than everybody else, but they're really not. But you have so many people that are in your position, and I met more of you people than anybody else that are so humbled, grounded, and it's what you do for a living for others, and you lay it all out there, and sometimes not easy, because we got to be on our game 100% of the time.
Right. I am eternally grateful for what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, they say that old saying, love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
And I love what I do.
Yeah.
And like standing on stage last night, I was playing these songs, and I'm looking out into the audience, and I'm looking at a bunch of people. There's like a couple hundred people who are just so happy that to be there, to enjoy a good night of music, the emotions that it makes you feel, and I just think of how incredibly lucky I am to be able to do that for a room full of people. It's just a great feeling.
I want to just bring up on a personal note, childhood sweetheart, married her, and 3 kids, and great memories that you all had together, which is awesome. Nothing what you expected, that you were together that long, right from high school sweetheart. I've had a couple of ex-wives, and but I wish I'm still trying to find the right one.
Yeah. Well, you got to keep looking, don't you?
But anyway, the kids, are they into any of the music at all? Are they doing?
It's really funny because I have a bunch of buddies, musician buddies whose sons and daughters are musicians and singers and songwriters and stuff like that. And mine just did not gravitate there. They didn't go there. I love them dearly. Both my daughters are school teachers.
Wow.
And my son is completely into video games, and he works. He has a good job, and he's a great kid. But no, music is not part of their vocabulary. They listen to it and they enjoy it.
Sure.
But I think on some level they saw how difficult it was for me at certain points in life. It's hills and valleys.
Right.
Sometimes the gigs just keep rolling in, and other times it's like you're just sitting around waiting for the phone to ring.
Right.
And I think that they saw that, and they I thought I don't want any part of that, so I'm just going to go out and get a real job.
That's it. I haven't had one of those either. I'm like you. I haven't had a real job either. March 20th, Kasim Sulton will be on stage at the Mauch Chunk Opera House and doing songs that you remember from Utopia, and I mean, how cool is that? I mean, and all the people that you worked for. Is there any memorable moments for you at all? I mean, is there anything that sticks out on stage that that was just one of those? Even if it was like an oh shit moment, like it's like oh shit.
Well, actually, we did a tour. Utopia did a tour in the late '70s behind a record called Ra. That was the first record that I did with the band, and it had this whole Egyptian motif to it. And there was one song that we did. The song was about 15 minutes long. And it was 15 minutes long because everybody in the band had a solo, and your solo was co-joined with an element of the earth.
Right.
It was like this was very popular back in the 70s, was to do concept tours like this. So the keyboard player, his element was fire. The drummer, his element was water. Todd Rundgren's was the earth, and mine was wind.
Okay.
And so the crew, we had these huge industrial fans that when I did my bass solo, they would blow this theater smoke and wind on stage, and it just I was engulfed in smoke on stage, and it was part of the show. The crew thought, after driving through Oklahoma, that it would be really funny to throw a tumbleweed on stage while I was in the midst of my solo.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how many people, there's not very many tumbleweeds in Pennsylvania.
No.
But I don't know, if you don't know anything about tumbleweeds, they're not small. They're big.
Yeah.
And they're also very heavy. And a tumbleweed it consists of nothing but thorns. So the crew, unbeknownst to me, puts a tumbleweed in the bay of the bus and drags it out during this one show that we're doing. And I'm in the middle of my solo. They throw the tumbleweed on stage, and it blows out across the stage and attaches itself to me in the middle of the stage. I still have scars on my leg from the tumbleweed, which was nothing but a ball of thorns
Right.
that came flying across the stage and just hit me in the leg and wouldn't let go. They had to actually come out and remove it from my leg while I was playing my solo.
Did you miss a string, or did you nail it?
No, I nailed it, but I got really upset. I was really, really upset.
That is fun. But were they still on tour after that, or did somebody get fired?
No, I wasn't. I was the kid. I was the youngest kid, and I wasn't going to fire anybody.
That's funny.
If anything, they were going to say, you know what, you're paying your dues. Shut up.
Yeah, right.
Enjoy it.
So did the Kasim Sulton on board with us and a show that you don't want to miss at the Mauch Chunk Opera House on March 20th, coming up in a couple of weeks, and get your tickets for this one early. Mom and Dad, anybody have any kind of like musical background, or this just is something you wanted to do? I mean, anybody else?
No, my dad was a hobbyist. He played. It's like, geez, I come from an era where everybody still had dinner together, and afterwards we sat at the kitchen table and had dinner, and then afterwards we'd go out on the back porch. It was kind of like a little bit like a Norman Rockwell painting on one level. It wasn't always like that, but my dad had a guitar and he played a little bit, and we'd sit on the back porch and sing Jimmy Crack Corn and On Top of Old Smoky, and that was my first introduction to watching somebody play a little bit. And yeah, he was a great guy. I miss him terribly. He's been gone for a long time, but that's how I was introduced to music.
Yeah,
that's how I was introduced to it. Was as a family thing.
This it's quite the pleasure to talk to somebody, Kasim Sulton, who has played again Utopia, Todd Rundgren, and people like, I mean, even looking over to and getting ready for this interview, your discography, and the people you played for or played on records with, from Celine Dion to Bonnie Tyler to Rick Derringer, amazing. I mean, creme de la creme people that you had the opportunity to play with and perform with.
Yeah, I've been, like I said, I keep saying it over and over again. I've been blessed. I've been very, very lucky just to be able to still do this and, and put some smiles on some people's faces. It's a really, really great thing to do in life. Yeah,
well, you do it well, and doing it for a long time, and it's like I said, the depth of where you started and where you still continue to to go, and the drive that you have has been pretty crazy. I think if we hang out long enough and do it, it seems like things all come. It'll all come full circle.
Yeah, we're very, very, very lucky people. And I can't wait to get down there and play that opera house. It's going to be a great night.
Yeah, it is. And something that we can bring it full circle on this, and I don't know if you're still doing anything here, but it was not too long ago, a few short years ago, that you teamed up with Paul Williams, legendary songwriter Paul Williams, and you this collaboration. Mission was to write the first ever crowdsourced anthem that was performed for people and out to people that are facing addiction. Is there anything there that you're still doing on that end, Kasim, that you want to touch base on?
I'm in long-term recovery. We were trying to, or we're still trying to, raise awareness about long-term recovery in the United States. Addiction affects so many people, so many families, loved ones, friends, and the people who don't know that there's help out there. And I grew up watching Paul Williams stand in for Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show, and the Smokey and the Bandit movies, and the Planet of the Apes, and the songs that he wrote, and to work with the person, later in life, to meet him and work with him and become friends with him. I can't tell you how amazing that feels. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful feeling to be that close to someone who you admired and loved when you were a child, and then to work on something that is near and dear to both of our hearts, and that pretty much basically saved both of our lives. That's just the icing on the cake.
Yeah. With that, I'll bring you just another question up on this as far as being in long-term recovery. And again, with Kasim Sulton, who has played with anybody and everybody that you can think of in the music industry. As a positive. As a positive for people that are out there listening, or maybe families that are listening to this show right now, going through it, coming from somebody like you, there's hope, and you can keep moving forward. Correct? I mean, what message would you have for them?
The hardest thing to do is to ask for help, but the help is out there. It's available, and all you have to do is pick up. It's only a phone call away. There's a tremendous support group out there. It's just a question of having that moment of clarity where you know that you can't go on the way that you have been, and that there's a better way, and that's it's an epiphany that I wish more people would have. But you have it when you have it, and hopefully you have it before it's not too late.
Yeah, great advice. The humbleness in your voice. I'm doing it too long not to recognize it. And as humbled and grounded as you are, with your own heartache that we've all been through, and you keep pushing forward. But it's amazing to to have spend a few moments hanging out here on the show and on Colossal Radio. And I don't think, ladies and gentlemen, it's a show you're going to want to miss on March 20th at the Mauch Chunk Opera House. If I were you, and the tickets have already sold very well, but I would get them on. I'd get them online because you can do it today. And this show is going to be amazing. I'm going to do some Todd Rundgren music coming up. I'm also going to do the hit. It was a big hit, and you probably heard it once or twice, and one called "Set Me Free." So we might be able to do that one as well. Listen, if you can hang on, that we can say our goodbyes off the air. I'm very grateful that you granted us this interview, and continued success, man. Is there anything else coming up that we should know about other than the winter tour?
I have a record coming out this summer, a brand new solo record, and I will be touring behind that in October of this year, and very, very proud of it. It's just going to be. We might do a tease release of a song or two between now and the summertime, but very excited about a new record that's coming out.
I know my publicist, I know my PR people. They all keep tabs on me because they have to. That's their full-time job.
Yeah.
But I would, with Dave on board, I would love for you to stay in touch, or we get some of that music. We'd love to feature it here on the station as well.
I would be forever grateful.
Man, we can do it up. Kasim Sulton of Utopia, Todd Rundgren music coming up, his own works, and a show March 20th of this year at the Mauch Chunk Opera House. So some good stuff.
Lehighton, Palmerton, Gem Thorpe, and nationwide. It's Colossal Radio. Find us online at colossalradio.rocks.